Atheism in religion? That sounds impossible, right? But do you know that there are religions in which the concept of an almighty creator God has no significant place? In fact, these religions would not be disturbed at all if adherents stopped believing in God, because their core beliefs are not really theocentric or God-centered. You may be surprised that these religions are Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. Let's look at Hinduism. Do you know that Hinduism is very compatible with atheism? That's very true. In fact, prayer and piety is ubiquitous, it's everywhere. It's almost impossible to see atheism in popular Hinduism. But it's only in philosophical Hinduism that one really sees glimpses of atheism, actually. Well, it's not altogether different, since the philosophical form is at the base of the popular forms. For example, the popular stories of creation and dissolution, of divine incarnations, of destruction of evil, of reincarnation or rebirth, have philosophical underpinnings. At the more philosophical level, however, these stories are not considered to be real. Not necessarily as myths, but as possessing the quality of lesser reality. They are not as real, they are not the reality. To put it in Shakespeare's words, they are made of such stuff as dreams are made on. Take for instance, the following declaration of the ancient Vedanta philosopher Gaudapada. He wrote something like, well, like you see in dreams, like you see illusions, like you see castles in the air, these dream palaces. So the world outside, the tangible universe, is something like that, is viewed so by the wise. It means that the world of our sense experience is as unreal as the world of dream experience. There is essentially no difference between the stuff we see in our dream and the stuff we think we are seeing or experiencing in our waking state. Well, of course, the only way one finds that out is by waking up from that world consciousness. So if the external world is unreal, anything associated with it is false as well, which includes stories of some God creating the world. Well, not all. There are 6 schools of Hindu philosophy, and at least 4 of them basically say that the universe is all we have and is all that is there forever. For instance, there is the Sankhya, or the numerical and dualistic school, that basically argued that the universe did not really need a creator God, since causality is circular, like seed in the fruit and fruit in the seed. Yoga, the associate school of Sankhya, did allow some concept of God, but certainly not the creator God. Then there were the Mimamsas, a pluralistic school. They emphasized on the power of rituals or mantras, which made God unnecessary. Well, if mantras could have magical power, then there is no use of a God, they thought. Then finally, there were the Vedantins that we are talking about. They were non-dualists who thought that the world of experience was a self-illusion of the cosmic non-dual self. It really does not exist. Only the self exists, which essentially also meant that believing in some external objective God and praying to that God is fundamentally absurd. Well, the Nyaya Vaisheshika acknowledged and argued for a creator God. However, this God was unlike the Judeo-Christian God who creates the world out of nothing and is transcendent to it. The Nyaya Vaisheshika God creates the world out of pre-existing material in the same way that a potter makes pots out of pre-existing clay. So these two may be regarded as theistic, though in a limited way. Some scholars think that atheism did exist originally in Nyaya, though later the Nyaya thinkers came up with a number of arguments for the existence of God that included the argument from causality, the argument from conservation, and the argument from the infallibility of the Vedas. Gaudapada, he argued that something could not come out of nothing, and to think that the universe self-created itself was nothing but begging the question. How can something that did not exist become the reason for its own existence? So the physical universe was either eternal and plural, or it was an illusion. Both of these options would not allow any room for a transcendent creator God. Well, there are several disagreements within the schools on their views of reality. The Sankhya view is critiqued for its notion of self-generation that we just talked about. On the other hand, the Vedanta view is critiqued for its theory of Maya, which is the theory of the power of illusion, which it brings to explain why the world even appears to us today as it is. Vedanta argues that the cosmic self falls into illusion through the power of Maya. But if Maya is real, then there is something else, Maya, in addition to the self, which contradicts the doctrine of non-dualism. The Hindu-turned-Christian Pandit Nehemiah Gore argued that the Vedanta view was very similar to Sankhya, except that the Prakriti, which is nature, of Sankhya was replaced with Maya, the matrix or illusion of Vedanta.